We're now joined by our senior political reporter, Natasha Phiri, for an update on the Moonshot Pact Convention. Natasha, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Perhaps maybe let's start here. What are the outcomes of the first day of the multi-party convention?
Well, thank you so much, Mbali, and of course to our SABC viewers. Well, we were briefed by the facilitator of this convention, that's actually taking part over the past 2 days. And of course, the agreements coming out from these 7 political parties, excuse me, is that they've agreed to extend an invitation to other political parties to come join them, provided that these other political parties in Bali actually share the same principles that they believe in, and furthermore share the view that they want to oust the ANC at next year's polls and keep the EFF, out of power. They further then shared, their various values and principles that this coalition is actually set on. And of course, we got confirmation there from Professor William Gumede saying that these 7 political parties have now formed a coalition, and some of the priorities for the coalition government is to end load shedding, is to grow the economy, is to achieve law and order that combats crime and corruption. And just talking to their shared governing principles, they said that they have a commitment to the South African Constitution, the rule of law, Mbali, and equality before the law. They want to also decentralize power to the lowest effective level of government. So these are just some of the issues that came out of that last briefing, where Professor Gumede and of course the political party leaders were given just a minute to convey, what actually happened in the deliberations that actually took part today.
And I'm sure, there was a heated moments within, those discussions. Tell us more about the deliberations, seeing that, these are 7 leaders from different political parties, and they have different ideologies, when it comes to, the values in which they share. I'm sure these were some of the topics, that came out in this convention.
Definitely, Mbali, and so far to speak, you had the various political party leaders actually conceding and saying that, listen, it wasn't. I beg your pardon. These are robust, conversations that they actually had. It wasn't an easy one. We also heard Herman Mashaba also echo those sentiments there in Zwandile Mbeje's package. So the general consensus is that it's not easy for 7 different political parties that don't have the same ideologies, that don't even share the same constituencies, to come in. Sacrifices had to be made, and I think it was painful for some of them, but we did hear those political party leaders saying that, listen, there needs to be political maturity, egos need to be put aside, pettiness amongst political parties need to put aside. And remember, the issue here is that the people of South Africa and society are the ones that actually come first. So if they really do want this coalition government to actually succeed, they need to put their differences aside and really work for the benefit of South Africans. And earlier on, we've been reporting that they opened up a portal, these 7 political parties that opened up a portal to allow for civil society, to allow for general members of the public to actually make their inputs. So if they really say that this is not about them and about South Africans, then they will have to take those inputs seriously and actually act on them, Bali.
And Natasha, are they clear yet in terms of who will actually lead this coalition? Because should this coalition, come together during next year's elections, they'll have to even go out and choose who will be president of the country. So, are they clear in terms of who will lead this multi-party charter?
Well, it's not so clear as yet. That's the question that I posed directly to Professor William Gumede, and he had said that the political parties are still engaging on this matter. And you would imagine that this is quite a contentious issue, because all 7 political party leaders would probably want to be the next president if they actually do get to unseat, the ANC next year. So we should actually expect robust deliberations and engagements on that very issue.
Perhaps also, Natasha, if you can just give us a bit of insight when it comes to the agreements and, the multi-party charter has for South Africa and what actually they agree on, when it comes to how this pact has been formed.
Well, first and foremost, I think the general consensus what we got is that, their vision needs to be in the best interest of South Africans as society. They've got their shared governing principles. They want an accountable, transparent government with zero tolerance for corruption. They want a capable government that spends public money efficiently to deliver services. They want service delivery to be a priority, and they actually want to implement issues around that. When it comes to their priorities for coalition government, they want to ensure adequate and quality healthcare for all within a caring healthcare system. The issue of load shedding, which is a contentious one, which continues to cost our economy and our livelihoods as well. And of course, job creation, Bali. I mean, we know and we live in a country where I think the unemployment rate amongst young people, correct me if I'm wrong, is 70%. So this is what these 7 political parties had actually deliberated on today. Had actually spoken to members of the media about today, but we expect more because, I mean, as members of the media, we have questions, and by the pertinent questions, South Africans also want to know how this, multi-party coalition will actually work out, and who will be the next president if they manage, so to say, to actually bring the ANC below that 50%. We know that the ANC in 2019 had actually gotten 57.50% at the polls. So if they actually manage to achieve their goal of actually unseating the ANC, who would be president? How will it work? And I remember I also asked that these agreements that they have, are they binding? And Professor Gumede had said that they're not binding, but morally so, they should be. So it should be a problem if a political party actually exits that coalition government. It really means that for them, they don't have the best interests of South Africans at heart.
And Natasha, tomorrow is indeed the final day. What can we expect from the last day of this convention?
Definitely, tomorrow is the last and final day. But Mbali, I can tell you that, we expect a lot coming out from these 7 political parties, but it's not easy because you have to put aside your political, ambitions, and also, I think, sacrifices from these parties are actually needed. So you would expect these conversations to be quite robust. I mean, today we had actually finished a bit later that we had actually anticipated. We are told that there will be no press briefing tomorrow in the morning. They'll go straight into the business of the day, and hopefully by 6 p.m., all these leaders of these opposition parties would actually come and brief members of the media, as well as Professor Gumede, who's an independent facilitator. And hopefully they'll have to, they would have had laid a groundwork for their coalition. So it would be interesting to see what actually happens. And of course, to our SABC viewers, please do still stay tuned to SABC as we give you all the live updates in regards to this all-important story.